Welcome to ComSpark TV. Today we are live from Columbus, Ohio. My name is Steve Gruetter, Director of Market Strategy at Expedient. I am on the host committee for the ComSpark event. Today we are here with Gregg Oosterbaan. He is the VP of IT at the Columbus Foundation. Gregg, it's great to have you today.
Pleasure to be here, Steve.
Absolutely. So let's go into the interview a little bit. What about your job as a technology leader gives you the most satisfaction?
So many things about our job that do that. I think as a technology leader, we get the ability to really impact the mission and the vision of our companies directly. And that's a growing trend where we have more and more direct impact and meaningful impact on what our companies do. With that said, I am a big fan of the concept that technology enables a purpose. It's not necessarily a purpose unto itself. And when you think of that in terms of the Columbus Foundation, where I'm the technology leader, our mission is really to assist people with through the philanthropic process to provide the best philanthropic services and the most effective philanthropy possible for our community and for our donors. So when you think of being a technology leader, technology is central to that process. It's central to making all of that work. And when you see the output of that, the growth of the community, the elevation of people and organizations and nonprofits within our community through these philanthropic efforts, it's very, very satisfying. By far the most satisfying thing that I get out of it.
For our viewers, could you give us a little deeper background on Columbus Foundation? Not everybody in Central Ohio is as aware of the organization as they should be.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the Columbus Foundation has been in existence for 75 years. And it really is, as I said, our purpose is really to help donors through the most effective philanthropy possible. So, we look at things like gifts, and we look at efforts in the community to elevate nonprofits or to elevate certain segments of the community by working with our donors to look at where the greatest needs are in the community, where their monies and their philanthropic efforts can be the most effective, and then helping them apply those into the Central Ohio community.
What a great mission to be a part of.
Yeah, it's a fantastic one.
It must be fun coming to work every day.
It is.
Now, that it's a nonprofit, you've got certain organizational constraints, if you will, in those situations. And how do you balance that with the complexity, the ever-increasing complexity in IT and security?
Yeah, it's always a balance, because when you're a mission-driven organization as a nonprofit, we don't necessarily always have the same resources, whether it's staffing or whether it's budgets, that a larger nonprofit organization might have access to. But we still have the same demands, the same IT challenges, the same data security challenges that any other company would have. So we're very fortunate in that even within the Central Ohio community, we have a fantastic grouping or allocation of managed services providers. So when we look at the managed services providers in Central Ohio, we play a balance as a nonprofit of what do we want to be really good at, what do we want to have expertise on our staff with, versus what do we try to source to a managed service provider to handle for us. And that balance changes and it shifts depending on our business needs on a regular basis, but being able to manage that balance properly, choose the right managed services providers for the right needs, depending on what I might have on staff full-time versus what I may need to augment my staff or my skill sets. That really helps us in our model to be flexible, and in some cases it helps us to innovate because we can drive new things, because I can look at the managed services providers and the skill sets that they have to augment my staff, and be able to take on projects that we wouldn't have.
Common outsourcing model that so many organizations are moving to now.
Yeah.
Now, I'm aware that you've been on the team now for several months here in 2019. You're making changes now. What do you foresee as the changes and the trends that you want to try to bring into your organization moving into 2020?
Sure. Yeah. So when we look at the major trends, especially within our market, community foundations are a very unique, kind of funny little business in that there aren't a lot of off-the-shelf technologies to support what we do.
Makes sense.
Based on the types of financial transactions that we have and our relationships with our donors and our relationships with the nonprofits, we're just unique. And a lot of the software that has been put in place to manage community foundations, to handle that financial services, if you will, aspect of things, hasn't really continued in development with the vendors. So there's not a lot of vendors that we can go to for that. So as we look out in about 12 to 18 months, we're starting to see that while there might be some vendors in the space, they're not really customized or unique enough to manage our particular or unique transaction volumes. What that means going forward for us is, and other community foundations across the country really, is that we're going to end up doing a lot of build versus buy decisions. If we buy products, it's going to limit us on some of the innovation and some of the things that we want to be able to do and some of the services we want to be able to provide to our donors and to the nonprofits. So there's going to be an interesting balanced decision coming down the road about do we really start to build these products ourselves, because there may not necessarily be a market that's providing those products for us.
Makes sense. Gregg, thank you so much for your time today. This has been Steve Gruetter with Expedient. Gregg Oosterbaan from Columbus Foundation, thank you for joining us. To learn more about the Tech Power Players event, please see ComSpark.tech. Thank you, Gregg.
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it.